So, we are now a bit removed from the recent Golden Globes award ceremony. For anyone out of the loop, the Golden Globes are sort of a blend of the Oscars and Emmys, as they award both film and television from the past year. They're also unfortunately kind of the discount version of both. Seriously, I know we all give the Oscars a lot of grief, and rightfully so, but the production of the award show is just leagues better than the Golden Globes. But one thing that the Golden Globes carries over from the Emmys is that they break down their selection of films and TV into two separate categories, one category being drama and the other being musical/comedy. And every year it seems we run into the same damn issue. Films and shows that many don't consider to be a comedy or musical being lumped into that category. We've seen it for the last couple years with FX's The Bear, a show that many consider to have comedic moments but usually focus on the drama of the characters and their relationships. We also saw a lot of people up in arms a little under a decade ago when Matt Damon's The Martian was also put into this category. Well, here we are again in 2025 and we're running into this again, with one of the most polarizing films of the year, The Substance. A film I personally love, and if you missed out on my recent video ranking all 2024 films I saw, you can check it out and see how much I actually adored the film. I'm still kicking myself for not making a video on it back when I saw the film initially several months ago. But that being said, I'm not here to sing the praise of The Substance, but to more so discuss the topic of the film being put into the category of musical/comedy. As obviously, despite Pump It Up being burned into my brain after seeing the film, it is for sure not a musical, and the film itself is not listed as or marketed as a comedy. And while the film does focus heavily on themes of self-hatred and the unrealistic beauty standards that society puts on people, especially women, I will be making the argument that it is a comedy. Sure, the dramatic elements and serious scenes are the bread and butter of the film, and the body horror and psychological thriller aspects are what made the biggest impression on myself. However, the film has very obvious satirical elements, as the main character of the film, Elizabeth Sparkle, played in spectacular fashion by Demi Moore, who deserves all the praise, is dealing with the reality of being an aging star in the brutal and blunt landscape of the entertainment industry. Her being effectively shut out of the world that once adored and loved her leads her to using a treatment known as the substance, which in a gruesome fashion creates a younger and essentially newer version of herself known as Sue, played by Margaret Qualley. And again, while so much of the scenes dealing with Elizabeth's struggle are heartbreaking and downright unsettling at times, there is a lot of comedy that comes from it as well, especially in the realm of Dennis Quaid's character. Quaid plays the role of the head producer of the company that puts out Elizabeth and then later on in the film, Sue's television show. Quaid, from the first scene he's in, is shown to be a completely insufferable and flat-out cartoonish character. From his mannerisms to how chaotic his presence is to the way he's written is so fundamentally comedic and satirical. Because while the film does take a wild yet honest approach to the themes it bakes into its story, it also isn't afraid to portray some of the subtext in an overtly comedic way. You're telling me you can watch the film and see scenes of Dennis Quaid inhaling crab and lobster while trying to tell Elizabeth that she's too old to be on TV, and you don't crack up laughing? The way his character openly ogles and eye-fucks any attractive women, but then in an extremely cartoonish fashion proclaims how much he loves his wife, that is pure comedy if you ask me. Hell, one thing that turns off a lot of folks to this film is the climax or final 20 minutes, as some see it as too over-the-top or comedic, which, yes, that's kind of the point if you ask me. And again, as mentioned, the film does take a serious approach to its subject matter, but to me, right from the start, the world the film is set in doesn't reflect our own in a 1-to-1 ratio kind of way. Sure, it takes place in the quote-unquote real world, but a slew of characters and a lot of the tone that the film presents is a much more surrealist setting, to the point that in the climax of the film, and spoilers for anyone still watching that hasn't seen the movie yet, spoiling in 3, 2, and okay. In the climax of the film, after killing Elizabeth, Sue, set to host the New Year's Eve TV special, begins literally falling apart. In a last-ditch effort, she takes the substance, but instead of a new and younger version of herself, no, instead a disgusting and vile monster that cannot be fully described in words is birthed. Known in the film as Eliza-Sue, the monster reaches the studio with a large cutout of Sue's face comically stapled to her head, and not a single person notices that the extremely beautiful and normally proportioned Sue is a giant, disgusting monster. Again, how is this not a comedy? The audience only notices once the paper cutout of Sue falls off, to which in the most over-the-top fashion, patrons begin yelling to shoot and kill the evil monster. Elizasu then begins spewing buckets of blood all over the audience and studio, before wandering outside, falling, and exploding on impact. In the least pretentious way possible, I think a lot of people may be put off by the ending because they saw the film as a straight-up horror film with themes of beauty standards and self-hatred. But if you ask me, I never once took the film as a serious exploration of these themes. Instead, it always felt like a surrealist and over-the-top body horror comedy that uses cartoonish characters and a wild premise to bring these themes and subject matter to light. The ending of the film isn't a betrayal because the tone and aesthetic were there from the beginning, and it being labeled as a comedy isn't incorrect or disparaging in my opinion. Instead, it proves that great films don't have to be pigeonholed into one specific genre, as a lot of the best films are ones that are hard to box in and instead offer up an array of different emotions and experiences. That being said, I get why some don't consider The Substance to be a comedy, because when most think of comedy, they think of overt comedies that are only there to make the audience laugh. But I think a film that has something to say and maybe has heavy elements of other genres can be every bit of a comedy as something like Superbad or a Jump Street film. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. This is a video I wanted to make since the Golden Globes happened, as it seemed to be a pretty big topic of discussion in the film world. So I'd love to know what your guys' thoughts are on all of it. Do you think The Substance is a comedy? Do you think it does have comedic elements but should have been in the drama category? Let me know down below. I'd love to interact with you guys, and check out my recent video ranking all of the new releases that I saw in 2024. And as always, if you did like this video, make sure to click that like button, subscribe if you want to hear more from me, and click the little bell notification button so you get notified when I post new content. And of course, I will see you guys on the next video.